Hey,
Good morning.
whoa.
Sorry, can't do that with the can't do the headphones with that. Woo! Hey, good morning.
Good
It's
morning. It
character
is
day.
like
It
first
is
year in a
character
week.
day for our theme week. So I dug a little something out of the closet, came up here for character day. So let's see what's going on. Yes. Good morning. Have you looked at the sample programs that are in the lesson? That's always the best place to start. Is go to the sample programs and see what they do, and then see what you need to do. And a lot of times you can use that as a starting base, the sample program, but it doesn't do everything your assignment's supposed to do because, if you just turned in what the lesson program was, that wouldn't, you didn't do anything.
Okay.
So, but you can look at that and see what that does, and then what do I need to add? And it'll tell you during the lesson, how to do different things. So you should be able to add what you need onto there. But we can certainly get together and we can look at it now if you want to.
Okay. Is the
So
sample
let
like in the actual lesson or
Yes,
above?
in the actual lesson there should be
Okay.
something on there. So let's look at 4.04. Look up on the screen here. So lists. So this is showing how lists can be used.
Yeah.
So let's go to that's the thing to remember with lists. Python starts counting at 0, not 1. That's important to remember.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to print the first thing in your list, that would be item 0 that you're printing. So
All right.
all right, so let's go to the sample programs. They're usually on the next last page is where most of those sample programs.
Okay.
Here we go, down at the
Oh,
bottom.
that. Yeah.
All right, so here, lists in Python. So they have a list and they called it names. This is how they create a list.
Okay.
You give your list a name, equals, and then you have to use these brackets, right? So brackets. And so
Okay.
then you list everything, all the names for their case. And they put them in quotes because they are letters. If it was numbers, if you said a list of numbers, you wouldn't need the quotes.
Okay.
And then they said, okay, length will equal the length of names. LEN is the command to use for tell me how long it is. So in this case, there's 5 names. So it'll know that the length of it is 5. So here's what they're doing. They're saying at GeekyCon you have, and then they're printing then whatever the value of length is, in this case 5. You have 5 characters defined, and this says print. And this is how they print the list. They just name the list, print names, and that will print it. So when we run that, it just prints literally exactly what names is. Got the bracket, everything, the names.
Okay.
So then they take it up 1, and they say, okay, so now we're going to say first is names 0. That'll be the first thing in the list, because if you use names, which is the name of the list, and put little brackets.
Was your mic cut out?
Oh, I'm sorry. Ugh. Was it not working still? How is it now? Can you hear anything now? Yes? No?
No.
Yes? No? Elizabeth, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, maybe it's my Chromebook. Hold on. I'll rejoin.
Okay. That's what I was trying to figure out. Was it Kendra or is it mine? Must have been Kendra's end. All right. So how is it now? Can you hear now?
That's me.
Okay, great. Okay, so they created the same list, and then they said, okay, the length is going to be LEN of that list. So here's how they designate it. Say, okay, if I want the first thing in the list, I created a variable and I called the variable first, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, from the list, print item 0. Remember, that's where Python starts counting. So that means print the first thing in the list.
All right.
Well, it's not saying print it yet. It's just saying whatever the first thing in the list, make it equal to first.
Mm-hmm.
And then last would be the length minus 1. Now, why do they do minus 1? Because the length is 5 characters, right? We know there's 5 names in there.
Yeah.
They have to do minus 1 because there is no number 5. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because it starts counting as 0. So if we say the last name is whatever the length is minus 1, the length is 5, but there's not a number 5 in our list.
Yeah.
So to get the last one, we got to subtract 1 from the length. If there's 5 things in the list, number 4 would be the last thing because it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then it says print whatever that first name is plus whatever's in quotes. So when you run that, it says Chewie is the first character I want to meet. Buzz is the last character I want to meet. Right.
Yeah.
And it just prints the first and last thing. So this is showing us how to use the list. Create the list with the variable name and the brackets, put whatever you want in the list. And then this is different things you can do with it. How to get the first thing, how to get the last thing, how to tell the length. All right, let's look at the next thing here. Define main. You always got to start your program by defining the main function. So this does a different way of printing the list. And this is very useful. So this makes a loop for in. So it's using in as the variable for the loop. In the range, go, and they want the range of the loop. They want the loop to start at 0 and go up to the length. Now, remember with a for loop in Python, when it gets to 5, because that's the length, right? Our length is 5. It will stop. It won't run the loop on number 5, which is good because we don't have a number 5 thing in our list. So it'll run 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it hits 5. It says, oh, that's the end of my loop. I'll get out of the loop.
All right.
So what it's doing in this loop is it prints hello and then a space, and it prints actually each character. First, it prints the character 0 because n is equal to 0 the first time it goes in the loop. And then it comes back to the loop and it changes the value to 1. And now it's going to print the character in value 1 of the list, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. So this is a way to print the whole list one by one by just using the loop. So when we run that, there it is. Hello, Chewie. Hello, Captain Kirk. Hello, Hermione. Hello, Storm. Hello, Buzz. And then the loop quit. So just by using that for in and using n as the position number, position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're able to print them all individually. So that's cool. If we wanted to modify that, say, well, what if we wanted to number these? Well, for the hello, why don't we just print, let's see, string n. I think that's how to do that. Let me think about that. And plus, let's see what that does. Yeah, I probably should put a space in front of the hello now. So I'll just take that number. What number is the loop on, and put that first. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I numbered them that way.
Yeah.
Just having it print whatever number in that loop is doing right there. So number 0, it prints 0. Hello, whatever character is in the 0 position of our list. Then 1, print hello, and whatever character is in the first position, the 1 position. So it's just a way. So you can go in there and play with these programs too. Like I just added that to see if it worked. Hey, that worked. All right, let's look at the next thing they do. So now they do this. They still create the same list. They find the length. They print the original list. Print. All right, so they printed the whole list, names. Then here's a way to replace a value. It says, okay, I want names 1, whatever is in the first position. I want that to be Spock now. So that means it was Captain Kirk. But Captain Kirk, the variable has just been replaced with Spock because we said whatever's in number 1 is now going to be this. And we're going to print the list again. And then it said, here's another command you can use your list. Names was the name of our list, right? Names.append. And append is something you add to the end. Like in a book, an appendix is at the end of the book.
Yes.
Add Rex. So now our list has just gotten 1 item longer, and we've added a new name on the end by using the append command. The append command. So Rex is added to the list. Print the list again. So we've printed the list 3 times. First the original list, and then after we replaced the first position with Spock, and now when we've added a new one in the end, and now we can delete one. This is how you delete it. Say just DEL space and the name of your list with which one do you want to delete. I want whatever's in the number 4 position I want to delete, which we look back at our original list, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Buzz. So Buzz is being deleted because it's the number 4 item in our list. And then it prints the list again. So we print the list 4 times, making changes. Let's run that. So there's the original list. And then we ran the command to replace the first position in the list with Spock. And then now we added Rex after that one command. See, and now we got 6 items: Chewie, Spock, Hermione, Storm, Buzz, and Rex. And then we deleted Buzz. So the last time we print it, there's no Buzz in the list anymore. So these example programs give you lots of commands, and so you know how to use those commands in your program. There's how I delete something. There's how I add something. There's how I replace something. And there's where I just create the list and print it. Let's look at their last example they give us. All right, so now they made 2 lists. One list is called names, and that's the same list we've been using. Then they created another list called photos, and it's just filled with numbers. So it didn't need quotes because it's numbers. And they created another variable they call total. We'll see what they use that for, but they created 3 things: a names list, a photos list, and a variable that they set at 0 called total. All right, so now they're doing that loop again. For in range 0 to however long the names list is, which means it's 5 long. So print, now they're printing the number, the first one, the 0 one. They're printing the name Chewie, because that's what's going to be in the 0 position. And now they're printing the 0 photos number, 45. So they're printing from both lists, the names list and the photos list, and adding to the total. Whatever the total was, take whatever the total was and add whatever that number is in photos. Add 45 to it, whatever position 0 is. Then it'll go back to the loop. It says, okay, now n is 1. So print whatever names 1 is, which would be Spock, and print photos 1, which would be 12, and then add 12 to whatever the total was before. The total was 45. Now we'll add 12 to that. And then it'll go through again. It'll do the same thing with Hermione and 33, and Storm and 24, and Rex and 106. And then it says print total photos taken, and that's where it uses that total. So let's run this program. There it is. Chewie took 45 photos. That's the item 0 and item 0 from both lists. And then Spock took 12, Hermione took 33, Storm 24, Rex 106. And then that total that it calculated as it went through the loop, it kept adding all those numbers up. So 220 is the total of those 5 numbers. So that's a way to use a loop to do a total thing and to print 2 lists at one time. So that's the last example they gave us right there. So let's look at exactly what the program says. And there should be a template that you can use in Google Classroom. I'll double check that. So what we're supposed to write is ask the user for their favorite item in a given category, and then provide feedback if it's on your list. So pick some category and make a list of your 5 favorite things. So your list can be 5 of whatever you want it to be. They give suggestions if you can't think of anything, your 5 favorite actors, books, cars, whatever. Then ask the user what their favorites are. That means use an input statement. We're going to use an input statement. Say, what is your favorite actor if we chose actors? So then we're going to create a list, a loop, and some if statements, and print a message to know if their favorites are on your list. And then print the entire list to the screen and number. They want us to number each item. And we got to write the pseudocode, which is just the plan. Okay, so first I'm going to ask the user what their favorite actor is. Then I'm going to make my actor list. Then I'm going to create a loop. Then I'm going to check to see if what they input is on my list. Then I'm going to print yes or no, and I'm going to print my list. That's the pseudocode, is you're just planning out the steps you're going to need to do in your program. So it says, use Python idle. Make sure you have your heading that has your name, today's date, short description at the top of the program. Use the Python conventions for indentation. If it's not indented right, it'll have errors. And use meaningful names. So then they give an example of this is what it should look like, something similar to this. So they always give you an output just to show you. So what is your favorite Star Wars character? That's where they had the input. And obviously when someone ran the program for this output, they typed in Chewbacca. It says, cool, we both like Chewbacca. And then it printed the list, numbered list. It told us to number it. So it printed the number list. So we insert the code from Python. We put our pseudocode right here, up here where it says insert our pseudocode, and our actual copy right here. And again, we do this on the template that's in Google Classroom because you can't put this here in Python. Let me double check real quick while we're talking about it. Make sure that this is in, that I have the template loaded in there. Let's see, what week would that be? Week 24. Yes, we do have a template in there. So this exact same thing is in Google Classroom that you can type on that one. Then you got to answer the 4 questions at the end. This is usually worth about 20 points. So if you don't answer these, the highest you can get is an 80 on the assignment. So what was the purpose of the program? How could it be useful in the real world? What's a problem you ran into? How'd you fix it? And what would you do differently next time? And those are different for everybody. There's no right or wrong answer. You just answer those 4 questions. So let's look at this. It wants us to, let's go back to the last page. It wants us to have the user, oh, I went to the whole last assignment, not the last page. Right, go back to page 4. So if we use their list that they had, and let's just go with number 1. Let's say we were going to do a loop here. We've created our list. We know what the length is. And then we're going to create our loop. If, oh no, input. Fave equal input, quote, what is your favorite movie character? Quote, let's see. Let's see if that worked first. Let's run that. Okay, so it does let me do that. And I can say Buzz. All right. I didn't do anything with that. I just asked that. So then I would want to do a loop. So for in names from 0 to length. Since I've set a variable called length that'll have the length of that, I can just say from 0 to length. Maybe forgetting a colon there. I don't remember on the end thing. So I got to indent and to say if fave equals names in. So we're going to go through and check each one, then print that's one of mine too, or something. So let's see if I got any errors there. Up line 9. That's what I was thinking. Do I have to have a colon at the end of that? How does that work? Now it's got line 10. Let me go back and look at the if statement real quick. You guys have been writing programs. I haven't been. Hold on. Let me go back. I'm loading it up on another screen just to take a look at it without messing up what we got here. Module 4. List lesson. Yes, I do have to have a colon at the end of the if statement. Oh, I still have bad input though. Oh, no, I have to have a colon at that. Now, let me check on the if statement. Let me look at the decisions lesson. The decisions lesson gave us more about the if statements. Debugging is the funnest part, right? Trying to figure out what did I do wrong? Okay, it does have to have a colon at the end of that. If fave equal names character, name 0. Bad input on line 10. Fave was right there. Oh, I didn't close this quote. I wonder if that's creating a problem. Still give me an error on line 10. And if you're working on this and you're struggling, you can always get with me to try to fix your error. Or even if you never figure out your error, turn in what you got. Any points is better than 0 points, because right now you got 0 points because nothing's turned in on there. So you want to make sure you get something turned in.
Okay.
So that helps a lot to have something turned in.
Yeah.
Let's see. Link to Brandon names. I've got to debug that. But this is what we're looking at doing, though. Have them input what's your favorite character and then check each character. This loop is supposed to start at 0 and check, does what they entered equal one of the characters from my list? And if it does, then we'll print, yay, that's what do I do? We're checking to see, is their favorite character the same as one of my favorite characters? And then after that, it's printing my list, because we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to do it numbered. So that's where I'd use another loop. We might could do that at the same time. Print n plus names n. Let's see, which one is it saying? A lot of times, let's see, if I just make that a comment where it ignores it. List object is not callable on line 9. List object. N in names. All right, for n in range. I don't know what I did different than they did. Oh, for n, it's not in names. For n in range. Let's try that. It says that is not callable on there. Oh, I gotta print n as a string. The number, I have to tell it I want it to print as a string. I still got it wrong on there. What did they do differently than I did? Oh, this has to be a bracket. Bracket, because that's from the list. So if I'm printing something from the list, I got to put brackets about it. Make sure. Okay. So I solved that. I still haven't figured out the if. Oh, what it did the if. There's an error with my if, but I took it out. I put a hashtag in front of it. That means tells Python to ignore it, because this is a comment, like at the top, because this is where you put your name up here. I put a hashtag with today's date, which is what, the 15th. And then put what your purpose is, making a list program. So these are all comments that Python ignores. So when I'm having a trouble with a line of code, sometimes I'll put a comment, ignore that, and let me see if I can get everything else working. Well, everything else worked. It printed 1, 2, 8. Probably want to put a space in between there. So I can put a space in between there. Run it. 0 Chewie, 1 Captain Kirk, 2 Hermione. That prints the whole list, because it told us to print a numbered list. So I printed a numbered list by doing this and these. I just have to figure out why my if statement's not working. So I've messed something up on the if statement. Let me see. Look at that again. I'll go back to the ifs lesson here, the decisions lesson. Look at their examples and see if I figure out what I've done wrong on that. Oh, I know I've done wrong with that. In an if statement, you have to use 2 equals. Because when I use 1 equal, that's setting like a variable equals this. That's setting a value. If I'm checking in an if statement, I got to use equals equals. So I bet that works now. Let me take that back. Run program. Oh, look, see, it did. It worked. That's one of mine too. Number 4, Buzz. Then I would have to put this print statement as, since I have an if statement there, it only printed the name if it matched. So this would have to come out of the loop. and go down farther on the page. It'd have to have its own loop. If, oh no, I'm sorry, for n in range 0, comma, length, colon, then it would print all of them, and then I can delete this. So let's run the program. Let's type buzz again. It says that's one of mine too, and then it printed the numbered list. So that's what the program wants us to do. Have someone input it. What's your favorite character? And then when they enter that, it checks to see if that's one of mine. What is your favorite movie character? Oh, what if you said something that wasn't on the list? I like Woody from Toy Story instead of Buzz. It didn't print anything. Now I could put an else statement, else if, but it would print it every time. No, it just print it once, wouldn't it? Elif. Let's see, how did that work with Elif? Oh, print. That's cool too. You know, something different. I messed up the Elif. Man, let me go back there. Let me look at that list real quick. It probably needs a colon too, I'm guessing. I goofed something up on the Elif. Oh, just else, because I'm not doing another if statement. I just need the else for the colon. Woody. Oh, it checked it 5 times though, because I put it in a loop. I can take this loop out. No, I can't. I got to check it every time too. So I could do some other nested statement, but that's okay. It still does what I need it to do. I'm checking to see does it match one of my characters. So if I run it and say Buzz, oh, I didn't type Buzz. I typed Buzz. That's one of mine too. So you got to play with it. Get it to do what you want, but it's just getting in here and look at the examples they have. You know, while I was trying to figure out the if statement, I went back to the decisions lesson earlier, like that was 4.02, and looked to see how the if statement work. Oh, I didn't put a colon on the end. So we just got to go look at the examples and see what am I missing. Oh, if I don't put that colon, it gives me an error every time. Won't let me go on. You know, but that's the best thing to do with these programs to get started is to go to the sample programs they got. And you know, I could have copied that whole program and I was modifying it like that to add what I needed in it. And then I could turn that in. Now, of course, I'd probably want to change the list. I don't want to use their Chewie, Captain Kirk, Hermione list. You know, I want to create my own list. But I can just change those values. I can start with what they had and start modifying it and then adding the things I need. Like I say, it didn't have where someone input their favorite character. That was not there, but that was part of the assignment. So I had to add that input statement and things like that. So does that kind of give you a better run on what you're trying to accomplish there?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.